Hey guys, what's going on? I'm Will Patterson. I make YouTube videos and I also do hand lettering and logo design. I've started posting images on Instagram all about my hand lettering, and I show my sort of process and how I do it, and it has a lot of involvement with my logo design creations too. I make hand lettered logos for different businesses, and I also show you guys what I do on this channel. You guys have been asking for a video on some tips for hand lettering, so I'm going to give you some actual practical advice and tips to make your hand lettering look really well. Tip number one is make sure you're using guides. By guides, I mean the lines that you use in between the lettering. These can be straight, they can be upwards, horizontal, at different angles, or in a circle or any other shape. These guides actually form the composition of our hand lettering, making it look even better. So if you're wondering how I actually write in a sort of like a shape, that's how I do it. I do the shape first, I draw it out, and then I do the actual lettering on the inside of that shape. Using guides are really important, especially for professional work, because they make your work look consistent, and it's basically the base point of where we start. The second tip is make sure your pencil is sharp. A lot of people ask me what tools I use, and I've got a video on my channel about all the hand lettering and logo design tools that I use for doing this. But the biggest piece of advice I can give you guys when you're starting hand lettering is make sure you get a good pencil that can be really sharp. This could be a mechanical pencil. I always use a 0.3 mechanical pencil from Pentel. There'll be a link in the description. And from this pencil, I'm able to get really sharp lines that look really nice, and it helps me out, especially when I'm vectorizing a logo design. You can use other pencils like clutch pencils, but especially when you've done your rough version, you want to be using a sharp one to get the right lines. The third tip is inking. Now, when you're inking your work, the problem is that we get shaky lines, and a lot of people think it's to do with practice that we stop getting these shaky lines. Whereas that is true, there are actually some practical tips that actually help you get less shaky lines and more straight and fluid and smooth lines. When you're inking with a micron or a fine liner, make sure that when it's a curve that you're inking, that you're actually pulling towards you and using your hand in a circular motion to get the curve. Don't keep your hand rigid, make sure it is fluent and towards you. And when you're doing a straight line, make sure you're pushing it away, keeping your hand locked. The reason why we get these really jagged lines sometimes is because of the muscles in our hands being pushed in ways that we're not supposed to push them. So when you're actually inking, you need to rotate your paper to make sure you get the right curve for your hand to follow, and that'll give you less shaky lines. The fourth tip I'll give you is tracing paper. Now, if you're not confident in your hand lettering or logo design lettering, then I would say using tracing paper will transform your life. It is another expense to the whole equipment side of things, but it really does help. Tracing paper or vellum is a translucent paper, obviously, where you can trace on a drawing underneath. So once you've done your rough sketch, put the tracing paper on top and refine it, and you can keep repeating this process. This is the process that I use for logo design to make sure I get the most refined piece to put into the scanner and then to vectorize. Most of the time with my hand lettering, I just ink straight onto the paper, which a lot of people cringe at because in case I make a mistake, and it does happen sometimes where I spill some ink or when I go off the line, and it just sucks because when you go off the line, it makes the work look really bad, or the weight looks off, or it looks imbalanced. But when you're using tracing paper, it's a non-destructible way of making sure your lettering looks amazing. And the final tip for hand lettering is to keep practicing. This is a very vague tip, but it is so practical, because the only reason why people get good at something is because they were bad at something at first and they kept going. Draw letters every day and keep creating, and you'll see very quickly that you'll get better and better over time. Make sure you're pushing your work to the best you can, but also have fun with it, and you'll see that your work gets really good. This video is sponsored by .space. They're a domain registration website where you can get your own creative domain. There's a link in the description if you want your .space domain for a cheaper price at $2.99 instead of the $9.99. They are specifically for creative people like you and me, so go and check them out. Click the link down below. I hope those tips helped you guys get a bit more of an understanding with lettering. Let me know what you want me to cover in a future video down below. I'm excited to hear your thoughts. Catch you later.